You know when you start learning a new language, you always begin with the basics, right? Things like hello, how are you, or I'd like a coffee. But what about the language you hope you never have to use? Well, today we're going to explore the kind of English that textbooks usually leave out, the language for real and sometimes pretty tough life situations. So let's start with something familiar. How well do you think you could describe your day in English? For most of us, this is kind of the first big step towards feeling fluent. I bet these phrases look pretty familiar, don't they? They're the building blocks of conversation, really. The kind of predictable language that helps us build confidence and, just connect with people day to day. And look, this foundation is absolutely crucial. But being truly fluent isn't just about talking about the normal, predictable parts of your day. It's also about being ready for, well, the unexpected. This is where things start to get really interesting. See, true understanding means you're prepared for those unexpected moments, for conversations that might be difficult or confusing, or maybe even a little dangerous. It's about knowing your way around the parts of the language that, let's be honest, don't show up in Chapter 1. All right, first up, we're going to decode some street language for common drugs. Now, why is this so important? Well, because whether you're just watching the movie or you find yourself in a really unfamiliar situation, understanding this kind of slang is key to knowing what's actually going on. Let's begin with a really common one, marijuana. Now, while marijuana is the official technical name, it's probably not what you're going to hear in a casual conversation or in pop culture. Instead, you'll hear its slang, or what we call street names. So check these out. What's super interesting here is that all four of these words, weed, ganja, Mary Jane, and chronic, are all synonyms. They all mean the exact same thing, marijuana. So if you hear any one of them, you'll know what's being discussed. Okay, next up is cocaine. Now, with this drug, the slang is often directly connected to how it's used, which actually gives us a big clue to its meaning. And this shows that connection perfectly. The common slang name is blow, and the phrase for using it is often doing lines. These two are used together all the time, so if you hear one, it can definitely help you understand the other. And finally, let's look at dope and acid. You have to be a little careful with the word dope because it can be kind of ambiguous. It might mean marijuana, but it could also mean a much more serious drug like crack cocaine. Acid, on the other hand, is very specific. It's the street name for the hallucinogenic drug LSD. So understanding these terms is one thing, but what if you're actually in a situation where you need to respond? Knowing how to clearly and firmly say no is such a critical life skill, no matter what language you happen to be speaking. No thanks. It's the simplest and probably the most universal way to refuse something. It's polite, but it's also firm, and it works in pretty much any situation, whether you're saying no to another cup of coffee or something much more serious. Okay, this one can sometimes be a little confusing for learners. When you say, I'm okay, you're not just talking about your health. In this context, it really just means I don't need it or I'm good as I am. It's another really common but still firm way to say no. And here we have it, the most direct and unambiguous response you can give. This sentence leaves absolutely no room for misinterpretation. It clearly states your position, and it's the most powerful way to just end that kind of conversation. And notice the verb we use is do, to do drugs. So far, we've covered language for talking about your day and for handling a difficult social situation. But some language carries even more weight, phrases that can signal a truly life-altering moment. And it's so true. A single sentence can completely change everything about a situation. It's the kind of language that demands your full attention and your immediate understanding. This is one of those sentences. It's a phrase you hear all the time in movies and on TV shows, but understanding its real-world gravity is absolutely essential. This isn't a suggestion, it's not a negotiation, it's an official declaration from a police officer. So, what does it actually mean? Well, to be under arrest is the formal act of being taken into police custody. That key little word here is under. You are under arrest. It signals that you are no longer free to go and are being detained because you're suspected of breaking the law. And that really brings us to our final thought. Is being fluent just about being able to discuss your morning routine? Or is it something more? Maybe true fluency is about being equipped for the full spectrum of life. The good, the bad, the predictable, and the profoundly unexpected. It's about having the right words, not just for the life you live every day, but for the life you just might encounter.